So, first thing I'm going to ask is everybody attending, please just mute your microphone so there's no background noise as David is kind of presenting and going through what he wants to today. Um, we're going to have time probably throughout and definitely toward the end for a question and answer segment. But I just want to start off by getting everybody introduced. I know most of you guys on the call are Audience Lab clients, probably either heard one of my other workshops talking about David coming on or saw the post that I did in the last week or two, talking about this workshop. But David's expertise is in email marketing and email copywriting, and that's what, most of today's lessons are going to be about. As you guys may have saw in the description, he's worked very closely with Russell Brunson and building out his campaigns, his copy, really a lot of work you've done for him over the years. And David and I were just chatting before I admitted all you guys, and he was telling me he was at Russell's kind of mastermind event a week ago today on the 17th. We were talking about what they went over, the turnout. They had a couple hundred people there of very high paying clients and stuff. And David was mingling, teaching, learning, doing all that stuff as we all do as entrepreneurs. I think the day we stop learning is the day our competition is passing us, and the day you think you know it all, I think, is the day you become irrelevant in this space. To be honest with you, even guys like Russell that you work with, David, he's still learning. He's still putting together new things. Right? He didn't just stop when he got successful. So, David, feel free to unmute, give a little introduction and background, and then go into whatever you'd like to cover. I'm probably going to interject a couple times, David, with some questions I think the audience might like to know, but we'll also save a Q&A segment at the end for anybody else. And again, I'm just going to repeat one last time before David starts. Please mute your microphone if you're just here attending, just so we're not having background noises or distraction. Thank you. And go ahead, David, drop a quick intro.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thanks everyone for having me here and excited to be here. Thanks, Ray, and appreciate the opportunity. I think I'll start out with, Ray gave a little bit of an intro, but I'll start out with just a little bit about me and like kind of my background and what I've been doing over the last couple of years, just to give you just a little bit more background on that.
Please.
So I started the way I actually got into copy. So I guess I'm a copywriter at heart. I would say I'm a copywriter. I mean, we do all sorts of marketing and stuff, but at the foundational level, I'm a copywriter. And I started. I wasn't always a copywriter. I was a financial analyst for 13 years, and I worked at different companies. I worked out in New York at Goldman Sachs. I worked in here. Now I'm in Boise State, which is why I came here. I work at Micron Technology, and but I started actually doing copywriting on Fiverr, which I don't know. Raise your
Tell me
hand.
that.
I don't know if people can. I can't really see very many people. I can see Ivan, but um, uh, yeah, if you know Fiverr, back in the day, what will you do for $5? That was the genesis of Fiverr. It's like, what would you do for $5? And I remember, geez, this was probably 10, 15 years ago, or 15 years ago plus. One of my neighbors, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do, make some money on Fiverr. And they were like, Fiverr, $5? Like, how are you gonna make money on that? And he kind of laughed at me. And I was like, I don't know, just gonna do it. And so we did it, scaled that up, and became one of the top copywriters on Fiverr. Was featured in like Forbes and CNBC. I had so many orders coming in through Fiverr that I probably had like 9 copywriters working for me just to keep up with all the Fiverr jobs. And sorry, I'm about to sneeze, but um, excuse me, excuse me.
Bless you.
Jeez, sorry. But that was I think that was very foundational for me because I really got to like we did thousands and thousands of jobs there. Like worked every industry, every product you can imagine, everything, every type of copy, email, newsletter, blog, article, website, ad copy, everything. We wrote it all. I wrote it all. And so that was good. And that was kind of how I started getting into this and started actually spreading out and starting helping other people on a bigger scale. And I started kind of getting into this, I would say, the Russell Brunson ecosystem and the ClickFunnels ecosystem. But beyond that, not just ClickFunnels, but I mean, there's high level, everybody's kind of got their own ecosystem, and I'm kind of in all of them, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I started helping some other clients and helping them write all their funnels and do all that stuff and helping them get to their Two Comma Club Awards. So a lot of those people that were walking across the stage at Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels Two Comma Club, like I was fortunate to be kind of the copy mastermind behind a lot of those campaigns. And then I eventually started working with Russell as well. And basically for the last year was writing Russell's emails, like all the emails and everything that were coming out from Russell, from Todd, from Dan Kennedy, Magnetic Marketing, pretty much, I wouldn't say all emails, but 90% of the emails coming out of there were written by me, were written by me.
Means you hit my inbox before I even met you or knew you, because I got some of
Exactly.
those.
Yeah, so if you've seen some of, if you've seen some of those emails, you've seen my copy most likely.
I'm
And
guilty.
so and then I started working we've been using more and more AI and this is something I'm going to talk about today is a little bit of
Great.
AI and copy and how that's working together currently and how we should be using that currently. But
That would be helpful.
Russell is we did help Russell build up a few some pretty comprehensive AI stuff. You know, we've got whole libraries and libraries of Russell's content that we can build some pretty comprehensive AI agents or whatever you call them. I don't know to basically write for Russell. So I have actually stepped out of writing daily emails for him to be perfectly honest, because we just don't need it as much anymore. And I've transitioned more into his 2CCX mastermind where I do coaching calls and stuff over there for people in his 2CCX mastermind. And so I'm doing that now, helping people with their copy and helping them kind of troubleshoot if they're having issues with their copy and all sorts of in email, but then just generally everywhere, landing page copy and everything. Uh, so that's just a little more background on me and kind of where I'm at currently. And then I
So
do
I
run.
guess hold on one sec, David. I just want to clarify. So that guy that you talked about the conversation, like how you first got started Fiverr, and they're like, "How are you going to make money on Fiverr?" Sounds like you exceeded expectations there and kind of showed a path to making money. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I was making. I mean, Fiverr was what allowed me to quit my job on it, like because I was a financial analyst for 13 years, and just more detail in the story. I I I hated it. I was like, I cannot do that. I can't sit in a cubicle all day and like work on spreadsheets. It's just not going to happen. And so I took my family, we sold our house and we moved to Europe. And that was when I was basically like, I got to figure out a way to make some money online. And I kind of found copywriting. And that's when I had that conversation. He's like, how are you going to make money while you're traveling around Europe? I was like, oh, I think I'll do sell some stuff on Fiverr or something. And he kind of, yeah, he literally laughed at me. Yeah, I became literally the top copywriter on Fiverr and was making I didn't it didn't happen overnight. Okay. So
Usually
like
doesn't.
I grinded just so everybody's aware that like this doesn't this doesn't happen overnight. Like I didn't make money right out of the gate on Fiverr, and I had to do jobs for like peanuts to just build up my reputation and stuff. And I just worked for
Your
peanuts.
work, your name out there a bit.
Yeah, get my name out there, build up some reviews, and I had to go back and actually get a job. Even though we left, I quit my job. I had to go back and get a job, but then it started taking off, and yeah, I got to a point where I was making multiple six figures on Fiverr, and it was like doubling my salary as a financial analyst for senior financial analyst,
That's
and
got to be a nice feeling.
yeah, it was really cool. It was basically my vehicle into, or my escape pod into, away out of the corporate world and into just my own business. And I've used that. And that's, I don't think I mentioned that Mug Branding is my company, I guess. That's not, I guess, it is my company. And that's where I've kind of everything spun from Fiverr and kind of spun out to Mug Branding, and then I also help. Technically, Russell is technically a client of Mug Branding, and I was the one. He was laughing, but I was the one that had the last laugh when it came to Fiverr because I kind of proved that you can make really good money on Fiverr. I mean, I wouldn't say it was millions, but it was, you know. hundreds of thousands. It was good.
Yeah, multiple six figures is more than what probably most people on this call have made with their entrepreneurial, and I'm sure
Mm.
that's satisfactory for quite a few of these people.
Yeah, yeah. So it was good. So yeah, and I don't know. I've never even the Fiverr game and the Upwork game has changed a lot because I have like I've kind of evolved. I don't know if I should say past it, but I've evolved to a different stage, and I'm literally not as integrated into Fiverr and stuff anymore. It's kind of actually like gone down, but
Oh, I get it.
I've tied I have I don't know. I've kind of tossed around the idea like, oh, I could like, teach people how to like get up and running on Fiverr. I mean, it's definitely a viable option for somebody that wants to like hustle. Oh, that's what I was saying. Like I grinded for peanuts for like 6 months just building it up. And then even when I was working a full-time job, I'd leave at like 7 o'clock in the morning, go to my job, get home at like 6, whatever, hang out with the kids, get them to bed at like 9, and I would work on Fiverr jobs from like 9 a.m. to like 2 a.m. in the morning, just writing. I did that for like 2 years straight, just grinding and grinding to build it. And eventually it got to a point where I could quit my job. But yeah, I mean, it took some work,
I'm
but
sure over the years, number one, the Fiverr game has changed, and also you've kind of leveled up to the echelon of people that you're working with. Again, not that you've outgrown it, but like you have a different marketplace and a different platform where you can earn and probably earn a little better than Fiverr. But
yeah.
I'm curious, how much has changed in the actual copywriting side of things over your years, and what made you kind of step into that and have success from being a financial, an advisor or analyzer, whatever
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
the
yeah.
actual title was.
Um, so copy, like copywriting, I kind of stumbled into copywriting, honestly, because when I was looking around Fiverr initially, I thought, well, I'm a financial analyst. I'll do, Excel modeling or I'll do PowerPoint presentations. And then I had always done some online marketing. I kind of toyed around with it like since I was in college and stuff. I just thought, well, I don't know if anybody knows Ed Dale. Does anybody remember like old school Ed Dale? Do you know
I
him at
do
all?
actually.
Okay, yeah, he was like kind of one of the OG like online marketers. He had a 30-day challenge where it was like make $1 in a day. And I did that back in it would have been like 2007 or something, probably like 20 years ago.
I was going to
And
say it's about 2010 when I first heard about him, so right in that
yeah,
same ballpark.
yeah, and he was like kind of yeah, anyways, where was I going with this? I don't remember, but yeah, oh yeah, that's what. And so I kind of was dabbling in that. I was still college and going to work, and so it was just like doing stuff for fun. But I like made a couple $100 like doing his challenge, and so that was opened up my eyes a little bit. And so I saw copywriting on Fiverr. I was like, I didn't even know. I literally didn't even know what copywriting was. I saw the category on Fiverr, and I saw that everybody had like 20 orders in their queue. And then I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's what I'm like, oh, okay, I know what that is. I didn't realize that it was called copywriting. I just thought you just called it writing marketing stuff. I didn't know what you called it. And so I just started doing it. And um, but copywriting is really fundamentally, maybe I'm a little biased, but if you can master one skill that will kind of translate into everything you're doing, it's copywriting, because copywriting in and of itself is really not writing. It's a good copywriter is someone that's just paying attention, that knows how to convey a message, that knows how to connect with people, that knows how to, uh, you know, present an offer in a way that is, you know, enticing to people or interesting. And that is, writing is one way to do it. But talking, presenting, talking, writing, it's all the same thing. One of the things that they say is like a copywriter is just a salesperson behind a typewriter. I've kind of heard that little phrase, which is true because like it's
Yeah.
really like I'm essentially just a salesperson. I'm just a sales guy. I just use words to do it, instead of talking. And so so it's all the same kind of strategy. You're always trying to figure out, well, how do I connect with this person? How do I put myself in their shoes? How do I how would I want to hear this if I were, if somebody was trying to sell me this widget, like what would I want them to tell me? Like, what would I want to know about it? What would make me want to buy this? And it was always just kind of putting myself in those shoes and developing that like skill set of like thinking like that. And whether it's writing, but so copywriting, the reason I like copywriting too is because yes, you're a salesman. Like, a copywriter is a salesman, or a person giving a webinar is a salesman, or a person standing in a used car lot is a salesman. They're all salesmen. The thing I like about copywriting is you can think about it a little bit more. Like I don't have to just like right now I'm presenting to you and I just have to say what I say and hope that it comes out right. Whereas with writing, I can say it and then I can be like, that's not quite right. I want to just change it just a little bit so that I say it this way. Whereas, I'm talking right now, I can't go back and edit what I just said 5 minutes ago. I just have to live with it. Whereas copywriting is kind of fun because it's like you can always just kind of edit what you say to just get it just perfect, which I like that because I can get the message so it really hits people. And so that's good. Now, as far as where copywriting, and maybe this is kind of going into the presentation for today, is where I think where copywriting is going, and a point that I'm sort of sticking my flag in the sand on this hill is AI AI is powerful and AI is taking over a lot of copywriting. And if I'm being perfectly frank, I'm going to be 100% transparent. I mentioned that I've moved on from Fiverr a lot and I'm doing other jobs. Part of the reason that I moved on from Fiverr is because of AI. Because AI literally stole like jacked like a lot of my work from Fiverr because Fiverr was what I would consider like lower level copy work, meaning like a quick bio, a quick email, a quick blog post, just a quick like, hey, onboarding email or something that's just kind of like a welcome email or something, or a product description or something like that. That was what Fiverr was. Oh, say that again. I couldn't hear you. Broke up a little bit.
No, I was saying what you were just talking about is like the type of copywriting that can easily be replaced by AI, as opposed to some more elaborate or extensive copywriting probably can't.
Exactly, and that's where I'm going with this because and Fiverr was kind of like churn and burn copy. It's just very easy low level copy where it's like grocery store model. Like that was the model, like like low margins, high turn, like high volume, low margin. That's how I made money on Fiverr. And but when AI came along, it put a big dent in my Fiverr business. I'm not gonna lie, like it put a big dent in it. And so I had to like I was kind of living high on the hog. It was nice. I had a stable of copywriters and we were just churning out copy and product descriptions and this and that. And we charge $100 or something that was pretty affordable. And, we'd make, I could pay them $50 and keep $20 off the top. And it was good. Um, but, but AI couldn't quite do still what I would consider higher level copy and more comprehensive copy. And I even still to this day, even as advanced as AI is getting, it still struggles with this, which is, higher, like a really well thought out long form sales letter, a really organized and really thought out and well written like web copy, or an email campaign that's an extensive, 5 emails, 10 emails, like a cart close email campaign or something like that that requires, you know, a larger, thought process, putting multiple pieces together. And you can use AI to kind of piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by piece do this. And you can even use AI if you're really good at prompting and if you're really good at setting up your skills and your this or your whatever, you can even use AI to like get it pretty good. But it's not there. And I'm starting to see everybody kind of flocked and stampeded to AI. Like everybody, like this whole AI phenomenon rightly so, has like overtaken the world. And it's like it's everybody is basically, and you know, open up your Instagram reel, whatever, and you'll just see, hey, AI can do this, AI do it, AI with this and do this, and everybody's like, oh, AI, and they all just like stampeded over to like, we're gonna have AI write our emails, AI can write my website, AI can do this, I can fire this guy, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, AI can do everything. And we are starting to see, even we work with some of these AI gurus that you probably see online that are like trying to sell you AI courses. They're even coming back to us and saying, hey, David, my landing page isn't converting very well. I wrote it with AI. Can you like rewrite this for me so that it like converts better? And they're starting, and they've gone through iteration after iteration of their AI, and they're the AI experts, and they can prompt like a mad crazy person, and they're awesome, but they just can't get it because the issue, or the fundamental issue with AI, and this is where people have to I guess clarify, and this is where I'm clarifying with people, is there's a difference between what I would call agentic AI and like what I would call creative AI. And agentic AI is there. I think there's a very distinct difference. Like agentic AI is your agents, your bot, like your automations, your agents, things, you know, things that go out and grab data and pull you in 100, you know, go out and pull like every listing that came on the market in the last 24 hours and gives you a report and a dashboard and does all like awesome. That's going to the moon. It's going to be, that's perfect. It's awesome. But that's what I would consider agentic AI. Creative AI is like design, graphic design, copywriting, like you know, writing copy, uh, any sort of like more like artistic, you know, videos, like a lot of videos. Like people are starting to, and you're starting to see AI fatigue on this side of AI. Like people are getting tired of seeing the same copy. They're getting tired of seeing these stupid AI videos that everybody just keeps making and pumping out, and they're just like, oh my word, if I see one other stupid AI person trying to tell me to buy this, I'm going to scream. And they're starting to get AI fatigue. A lot of people are realizing it. Some people haven't realized it, but subconsciously they're feeling it. And the issue with the issue on the creative side of AI is that AI is basically an LLM. It's a large language model. It's essentially the average. It's going out to a bazillion places and pulling in, like when it wants to, let's just say it wants to write an email for you, like hey, write an email to my school board telling them that they should, you know, celebrate, you know, donut day or something. It's going out to the internet to 50 million places and coming back with the averages of what an email like that should say and the probability of what the word should be next based on what you're trying to do, and it gives you the average. And so if you're below average and you see that email, you're like, that's pretty good. Like if you can't write an email for the life of you, you're going to be like, oh, that's pretty good. That's better than I would have written it. But if you're somebody that is like pretty good at like writing and understands like, you know, direct response and understands kind of some of this stuff, average, you look at that and you think, it's not quite where it needs to be, and you kind of iterate with it and you try and iterate and you try and iterate, but it's just it can't be imaginative. It can't think. It can only think from the past. It can only say, this is what happened in the past, this is what people have said in the past, this is the average and the probability of what it, based on that information, it should say. But it can't think to itself like, I should throw a joke in here because I know that Tommy that's going to be reading this loves, you know, jokes about, you know, whatever, cats or something. And it would never, ever, ever know that because that's never been in the past. And so it can't be factored into the average of what it could do in the future unless you specifically tell it. And so then you get to this point where it's like, well, you can either specifically tell it, or you can just kind of do it yourself and just fix it. So long story short, my point is there's AI fatigue on the creative side of AI. I think we are going to start seeing some. We're already seeing like people pull back, like everybody stampeded, and people are over here, but people are starting to kind of trickle back because they're like, oh dang. And the other issue is like it writes like the first email for you, and you're like, oh, this is cool. This is actually pretty good. And then you're like, okay, write the next email for me. And you're like, oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. And then you write the next write the next email. And you're like, okay, this is good, but this is pretty much the same thing that you gave me in the first two emails. So like, I need you to be a little more different. Like, I need you to be a little bit more like different angle. And it comes back and it's like, okay, cool. And you're like, okay, that's pretty good. And then you write the fourth email and you're like, okay, you basically did the exact same thing that you did in the first three emails. Those were good, but I can't do that anymore. I have to do something different now. And then by the time you're to like 10, 15 emails, you're like pulling your hair out, like, give me something different here. Like, I'm trying to prompt you, and I've prompted you 100 times to do something different. And this is the wall that you run into with AI, where people like that originally fired it's the same with graphic. I mean, I think about it in a copy lens, but it's like with graphic designers or videos or anything like that too. It's like, or concepts, or even like generating like music or anything. It's like, okay, the first song sounded cool. Like I was making these like cool like rap videos for Russell actually, and I was using is it Suno? Suno? I think it's Suno. I was using Suno to make these rap videos, and like the first three or four rap videos, everybody was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's really clever. That's fun." But then when you get to like video or like music song like seven or eight, it's like, okay, we've heard that one before. Like, give me something different. And it's like, and as much as you try to prompt it, it's like just keeps coming back with the same thing over and over. So it's like the first two or three times you're like, oh yeah, that was cool. But then you're like, for the love, just give me something different. But it can't, because it's just an average of the past. So this is I guess my warning and my thought is like, uh, AI definitely helps you improve. It helps you speed things up. It helps you get the ball rolling. It helps you from a creative side. I'm talking creative AI, not agentic AI, because agentic AI is kind of a totally different conversation. But from creative AI, it helps you start not with a blank page. And that's what I'm starting to use it for a lot. And that's what it has evolved to, where it's just all basically what AI did is it just gave us a faster car. Like, you still need somebody that can drive the car. It just gave us a faster car. And in fact, the fact that it's faster now almost means you need like a better driver. So it kind of like, I was a little scared at first, like, oh man, AI is going to put me out of a job. But it's coming kind of full circle to, it's like, well, actually, it's almost solidifying that you need somebody still that can um, like actually really think about this and know how to drive a faster car. I can pump out more, I can pump it out faster, um, which is good, and I can like think more ideas and brainstorm with it and do things like that. But it's still, at the end of the day, I'm kind of this, where I'm planting my flag is like, people can't rely 100% on AI. Like, you just can't, like, don't do that, because I'm seeing people do that and their conversion rates are going down and they're wondering like, well, what's going on? Like, and they're starting to trickle back. And so if anybody in this room, I can't really see too many faces, but like, if anybody listening within the sound of my voice can is thinking that AI, maybe someday, 5 years from now, maybe it will get to a point where it's like literally thinks like a human brain. I'm not saying that won't happen, but as of now, and probably at least for the next couple of years, we'll see. Um, you still need to inject your humanity into your AI copy. So don't fall into this trap of just, and even on the simple stuff, like, and I know AI I told you it killed my Fiverr business and these little emails and stuff like that. But even on this simple stuff, I would argue that you need to go back and make sure you're adding your humanity to it. You cannot just say, you cannot just do copy paste from AI. Like that's one of the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing with people, because even though it might sound okay, it sounds the same as everybody else, and it's just becoming noise, and it's becoming like, and nobody can relate to it, or nobody even cares about it because it's just noise. It's becoming white noise because everybody, it doesn't matter if you're selling, you know, pencils, or if you're selling, giant turbine or engine combine, whatever. AI is going to kind of give you the same thing. They're going to say these stupid lines like, it's not theory, it's not this, it's this, and it's going to do all these things that it's programmed to do, and they'll all sound the same. And the person that's reading it is going to immediately subconsciously just tune out because they're going to be like, this, I've read this before. I just read this on the last 10 posts. And anyway, so don't don't use, that's one of my big takeaways today, is just make sure you're infusing
Solely
humanity.
reliant on AI. I still look at it as like an 80-20 model. I'll have it do 80% of the thing and then I'll put my 20% personal flair to it. I never
Mm,
just copy and paste. And unless it's
yeah,
research purposes or something, but nothing
yeah,
I'm putting out to the market in a copy sense. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Um, and then that's kind of still how I use it. I don't even know if it does the full 80% as I would like it, but I'm always adding in my 20% flair. Oh, it should have thrown a joke in here, like you said. That was a great example. Or
Yeah.
it should have asked a question instead of finished with a sentence. I'll get a better reply that way. Just little things that I know to switch that a lot of people may be listening, and certainly some probably listening later on the replay are probably just copying and pasting it still, and then they're wondering why isn't it converting. And like you said,
Mm.
when it becomes noise as it is and it becomes the same as everybody else, then your copy's not doing what you want. Copy is designed to stand out, to intrigue, to entice, to draw a reaction or a call to action in some cases, where when you sound the same as everybody, you're not going to do that. Your market's going to be like, oh, I just read something like that. That's nothing. And they disregard it. It's out of their thought process and out of their head in 2 seconds. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So
exactly.
what would you say in terms of some great tips you can give about copywriting for people that want to bring their AI responses farther and flesh it out, or they're just writing the copy themselves, but they're not that sure? Because you said something great earlier, which is why I'm asking this question. You were like, what I like about copy and as opposed to, again, this live presentation, you can't go take back what you said 5 minutes ago, you can't
Mhm.
proofread it, you can't rewrite it. But when you do that, you yourself, David, and I'm pretty good at this myself, I think I'm blessed in this area, but you're like, I can kind of put myself into the who's seat and say, how would I want to hear this, what would I want to hear to get me, and then you could think about it, rationalize it, write a couple different variations, say, oh, this one's the winner, this one's what's going to hit my who with the how and the what they want. So what are some tips for people that want to sit down and write out an email today that they first, obviously, I'm pretty sure everybody on this call can define their who and who they're trying to reach, which is
Mhm.
obviously the first goal of copy. But from there, I do think there's people that, you know, aren't as great at sitting back and putting themselves in the prospect's shoes, right? And from that kind of outside perspective in, and they're really not sure how or what they want to hear. So, what are some tips that you can give people on this call in that regard, David?
Okay. Yeah. Um, okay. So I'll start with this. The first thing with good copywriting, is it almost seems like it's not good copywriting. Okay? Like
Juicy
think about
words.
that. Think about that for a second. Everybody thinks that good copywriting has to be some sort of clever, quippy, like hook or line or something. And simplicity beats complexity every day of the week.
I like that.
The person that can get their message across the clearest and simplest way, the most understandable way, is the person that will win. So, just an example of kind of the point I'm trying to convey. Like if you're trying to sell, you know, red bricks, let's just say, I'm just making something up here. If you're trying to sell red bricks, and you're trying to sell them to, I don't know, let's just say bricklayers. Um, yeah, yeah, thanks, Connie. If you're trying to sell them to bricklayers, like if somebody lands on your website and they see something like that would be complex and what I would consider like fancy, like, art, use use bricks like I'm trying to think of something that people would say. Like they would say something like, you know, we're the brick house of brick people, and we make this, we make bricklaying look good and da da da, like something stupid like that. Okay. I say stupid and I mean it. Like something just they try to be fancy and say something like that. Versus like if you landed on that page and it said something like, we sell bricks to bricklayers so that they can we sell high quality bricks to red bricklayers that are trying to build brick houses and brick walls. And it's like, it doesn't sound fancy. It doesn't sound clever. But the point is it gets the point across to where, like, if I'm a bricklayer and I'm trying to build a brick wall with red bricks and I land on this page and I'm thinking to myself, I need to find a place where I can buy some red bricks that I can build a wall with. And I see a headline that says, we sell red bricks that are custom made for brick houses and red brick walls. And I see that line, I'm going to be like, I'm exactly where I need to be. Let's keep reading about this and let's see where I can buy this stuff. And this is the complexity that people they get in their head, that they have to like say these weird, like super fancy, like follow these formulas and frameworks of like, I've got to like touch on, and I'm not saying that those don't have a place. I mean, there is a time and a place for things like that, but this idea of just like being very simple and direct. I'm a big fan, honestly, of Donald Miller's story brand. So if you haven't, yeah, they overcomplicate, like, because it's complexity causes confusion, and confusion kills conversion. Like there's a one-liner for you. Conversion or confusion kills conversion, because if I have to think it all, your job as a copywriter is to not make people think. Like they just have to read and immediately understand. If they have to think about it at all, or if they're confused, it's they don't necessarily have that thought of like, I'm confused, but they just intuitively they're like, I don't get it, and they scroll or they click back and then they leave. So if you're trying to like, if you're a business coach and you're trying to help people scale their business or something, if you um okay, I'm going to use an example here actually. I'm trying to So there's this podcast that this client that actually just hired me to help him with this, and they have a podcast that's built towards it's built for like kind of business consultants and coaches and people that are trying to like help other businesses, like kind of hire like EOS type business coaches and stuff. And on their newsletter, the tagline says, built on mistakes, opinions, and questionable decisions. Unfiltered business advice built on failures, not theories. Okay, let me read that again to you. Built on mistakes, opinions, and questionable decisions. Unfiltered business advice built on failures, not theories. Okay, think about this with me for a second. What does that even mean? Like, what did we just read? Like, I don't even understand what that is. Like, what are you telling me? Like, and this is what somebody has as their like subheader, their main hero section, like above the fold, where you're supposed to like be conveying your message. I'm left thinking, who the crap is, like, who is this? What do they do? What are they trying to get me to do? Like, what is happening here? And so I literally said that to them when I was in our, our initial consult or whatever. I was like, well, I come to your website you're trying to get me to sign up for your newsletter, and I read your, it says confessions built on mistakes, opinions, and questions. I'm like, what does that even mean? I don't even know what you want. Like, what is this newsletter even about? And is it going to help me like get from here to here, or what, like whatever? Okay, so I'm going to try and go through this. So keep it simple, complexity, like just And Donald Miller, so StoryBrand Donald Miller, he's the one that I think I originally kind of like picked this concept up of like he said that he had a client in his book. I think he gives an example of um like this company that like paints houses and paints all like they paint houses and decks, and he said they changed their headline on their website. It used to say something like, "We paint, we're the the Valley's #1 painter of, we paint whatever you need painted," like da 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 da. It went on, and it was like you would land on the sign and be like, "What do they paint decks? I don't know. Do they paint decks?" And they changed it to like, "We paint houses and decks." And like it like doubled their conversions because somebody lands on the page and they're like, "Oh, I need my deck painted," and this says we paint houses and decks, so I'm gonna call these people, versus like some random kind of whatever. So keep it simple, whatever. The other thing that you want to do is you want to basically people, and this is a pretty standard foundational. I am not the person to teach this, the first person to teach this by any means. And you've heard it 100 times. Maybe I have a little bit of different spin on it, but if you read a lot of copy, and this is another problem. Speaking of AI, this is a problem with AI copy. Is it's all feature driven copy. It's feature driven copy. Like buy this course, buy this. If you have AI write your landing page for your course, it's going to say buy this course. You're going to get yeah, you're going to get buy this course. You're going to get this module where you learn this. You're going to get this, you're going to be able to join our group. You're going to be able to do this. You're going to have this, this training that's going to teach you this and this and this. Okay, that's all feature copy. And AI is really good at feature copy. But you have to basically very simply and clearly say, this is where you are. This is where you're going to be after this, whatever it is. My course, my business, my candy bar that you buy, whatever it is, you're going to go from being hungry to being full. And the answer to that is eating this candy bar. Or you're going to go from having no leads to having a ton of leads. And the answer to that is you join my course. You are sad and depressed and you want to be happy. The answer is my mind technique training system or whatever it is. And you have to say that very clearly, like in the hero section. So that's why, like going back to this example where like confessions, like built on mistakes, opinions, questionable decisions, you wouldn't say that. You would say something like, we help EOS, listen to this or subscribe to this newsletter. By subscribing to this newsletter, you'll be able to increase your lead, like your leads flow by 20%. I don't know, just saying. So they can read that and be like, yeah, okay, I want to increase my lead flow by 20%. That sounds interesting to me. I'm going to subscribe. There's no complexity, there's no confusion, there's no wondering like, what is this about? What am I going to get from this? What am I going to do here? And so it's simple. It's telling them where they are to where they're going to be. It's presenting the answer to the vehicle. You can do this all very quickly. And then the last, well, it's not the last point, but the last point that I'll make here is do it in a natural way. So this is kind of similar to the first point I made, but it's different. My recommendation for people who want to write copy is to basically write how you talk. You'll notice that Russell does this. Like he writes how he talks. It's not fancy, and it's not like there are some strategies. We can dive into strategies. There's strategies in uh, email conversion and like getting click-through rates and increasing your click-through rates and your open rates. I haven't even dived into that yet, but I'm talking like on a fundamental level of like trying to get people to actually read your email and take action. Uh, just talk how you would normally talk. And so it's kind of like maybe one thing that a lot of people might relate to better than copy is like speaking, public speaking, because a lot of us have had to get up and give a speech or do something or whatever at a wedding or wherever we have to talk. It's like you can sit there and talk to your friend and be like, yo, Ray, yeah, that was so fun. Like we were just doing this or whatever. And then you get up and they put a microphone in front of your face and you're like, yeah, so me and John, we were really good friends and we really liked going to the beach and like it was super fun. We would throw the football and like why did you start talking like that? Just because there's a microphone in front of you? It's the same thing with a keyboard. Like you put a keyboard in front of somebody and all of a sudden instead of saying, dude, Ray, have you seen this newsletter that talks about um like how you can, like eat chocolate and not gain any weight? Like, whoa, this is like I've never seen anything like this. This is crazy. Like that's what I would say. But for some reason when I get in front of a keyboard, I say, um, this newsletter is going to be the cool, it will change your life and you will, if you've been wondering, how can I eat chocolate without, getting fat? Like, I don't know, you just start saying it in this like weird, not real way. How like,
You know, again, robotic. Like you
yeah,
said, you almost sounded like that, like where the example you get where you put the mic in front of your face. Like it's almost like you get
yeah,
robotic and you start
yeah,
being laid back, using a little bit of slang or,
yeah,
talking just like you would. And I fully agree with you, David. I think that's the best tip anybody can have to their messaging and their copy is be yourself, be unique and be authentic, but also what you had talked about earlier, certainly clear, concise over complex. And I would say clever marketing is great, but sometimes people get too clever or too cute and they lose the simplicity behind it, right? So
yeah.
I would even err toward the side of clear and concise and simple over too cute or too clever. I think you can agree, David, maybe the best copy or messaging has kind of a combination of clear and clever, but it's not too clever or too cute where it's going over people's head. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's always err on the side of just being too simple. And I've had a lot of people, I've told you, I've written thousands and thousands of jobs. And I've had people come back and be like, you're a world. Okay. So here's the thing. Like I've had Fiverr jobs where people pay $10, $15, to do a job. And then at the same time, I've had these jobs where we've made millions and millions for people, and these people paid me like six figures to be their copywriter. And we write on these $1 million campaigns that have like one of the campaigns that I worked on, a client that I worked on, we got the 10x whatever or the 2CCX for hitting $100 million in one funnel. And it was in the fitness space. It was in the fitness and supplement space. It was where we did it. And um, we were very simple. Like it was very simple. It was like,
Yeah, that works.
it was like, hey, do you d- like, it was like, hey, are you tired of looking in the mirror every morning and feeling fat? Like, if you're tired of that, like, s- click this button. And it was like, that worked. And then I would go to Fiverr and I was like living in two alternate egos because I was doing like $1 million work for people, but then I would still do like these $15 jobs for people and they had no idea who I was. And and they would come back and they'd give me like a 1-star review and say, you just wrote something, weren't even clever in how you wrote this, and you weren't even like you don't even know how to write good hook and all this stuff. And I was like, first of all, you hired me for my expertise. I'm doing what made me $100 million over on this funnel, and I'm trying to help you do the same thing. And you're like fighting against me because you just have no clue. Because some people get in their head like they think, and I guess this is the expertise of, and I'm not whatever. I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but like this is the expertise of somebody that actually knows. Like they know when to use clever and when to not use clever. They know when to be clear and they know what works for conversion and simpler. One of my favorite quotes is something like from Abraham Lincoln, where he was like, he had to write a letter to General Grant or somebody, I don't know. But he said at the very beginning of the letter, I'm quoting it wrong, I'm sure, but it says something like, my apologies for writing such a long letter, or my apologies that this is such a long letter. I didn't have the time to make it shorter, basically, or something like
You know what
I'm
you're saying?
butchering,
Yeah.
but basically this idea of like it's way more difficult to simplify and say something in one or two sentences than it is to run on and be complex and do all this stuff and try to explain everything in like 2 pages. It's actually more difficult to like, and people don't get it. Like people don't get that. Like instead of just saying that, you should just say, I paint decks, instead of, we paint decks, instead of, hey, if I don't know, I'm struggling to come up with the bad
Oh, but I
example.
know what you're saying. Like one simple sentence rather than a 2 paragraph description of what you do, and the one single sentence is going to hit harder 9 times out of 10. You know what I mean? It's kind
Yeah,
of back to the whole less is more philosophy that I practice and operate off of in
yeah,
a lot of my businesses on a
yeah,
sales call. Matter of fact, I teach my reps to talk less than the prospect. The less
yeah,
we speak, the better. The more we let them speak, the more we could obtain and really assess
yeah,
where they're at, so we can prescribe the right solution when we get to that point of the call, right?
yeah.
Less is more in my copy. Like if I could say the same thing in 5 words that I can say in 50 words, I'm going to do it in five every time. And a great
Mhm.
personal example I have is something I've done in the past for over 300 paying clients is I did their offer creation. So I would get on the initial call when I would help them map out their offer, and I'd be like, "Give me 1 to 2 sentences about what you do," and 80% of people could not do it in 1 to 2 sentences. Maybe even be higher than that. I think I'm being generous saying 80%. I'd come back and somebody would give me 6 paragraphs, and then I'd reiterate 1 to 2 sentences. Oh, so you do this? I'm like, how'd you do that so simply, Ray? I'm like, I just took everything you did and boiled it down to the 2 sentences that matter, right? You know what
It's
I mean?
true.
So that's a good example.
Yeah, no, no, that's a perfect, and that's what I like. That's what I do as a copywriter too. It's like y- that's your job, and if for anybody on this call that's doing the same thing, if you're thinking through your offer, if you're thinking through your landing page, you're thinking through your email, it's always like, how can I? That was actually one of the things when I was working with Russell, like a lot of the emails that I would write. One of the oftentimes the feedback was like, "This is way too long." Like, this is way too long. Like, cut like I'd write some fancy sentence or a paragraph or something, and Russell would be like, "Just delete that whole section. Like, you don't even need to say that." Like, it's because it's like we get this in our head that we have to like over explain all this stuff to people, and especially when it comes to email marketing. This is something to remember, or like a little nugget, is like email marketing. The only job of email marketing is to get the click. Email marketing is not to necessarily, I mean, well, I shouldn't say always, but from like a campaign perspective, there can be different times for different things. But generally speaking, you're really never trying to sell in an email. You're always just trying to get the click. The whole point, like you let the landing page do the selling. You let the webinar do the selling. You let the whatever it is, the book or whatever the product is, do the selling. You are just supposed to get the email is just supposed to get the click. So if you're trying to sell a course that changes people's lives, you don't sit there in the email and say, this is you're in module 2, you're gonna learn this. In module 3, you're gonna learn this. In module 4, you're gonna learn this. Click through to see and the rest of the modules and this, and you're gonna be so happy and da 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 da. That's how a lot of people write their promotional emails. It's like, no, 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 no. Like that's a big mistake. That you're not trying to sell in the email. You're trying to get the click in the email. So in the email, it would be a much better email that would say something like, "Hey, I made this video about how like something you could do today that will improve your life, like 180, like literally in 30 seconds. Click to watch the video." Like that would be a much more effective email than trying to sell your course and all the modules and explain the modules. And speaking of which, this is what AI will do. AI is terrible at this. AI does not understand that. AI tries to always, I'm always fighting with AI. I'm like, dude, stop, let the page do the selling. Like, I just want to get the click. I'm just trying to, like, urgency, scarcity, curiosity. Like, those are the three components of an email that I need to get people to like click. Like, it doesn't even have to be long. So, um, That's
Just to not to necessarily cut you off, but to piggyback off what you were just saying there, something I'm very adamant about, and I've run a couple of my sales workshops, guys, about this. I don't know if anybody on this was on these, but each aspect of your sales process and your full funnel has its own objective, right? And all you got to do within that one stage is accomplish that objective. So I agree fully with what David says here. I don't think I've ever tried to or made a sale just from an email. I wanted to get them to the landing page or to the sales call or whatever the next step was. And that's the objective of the email. No more, no less. I think a lot
yeah,
of us try to overcomplicate, or maybe, hey, I could put the whole sales process in this email. Good luck with that. If anybody's really figured that out successfully at scale, it would be done over and over again. It's not because people don't buy that way. So
yeah,
step one,
exactly.
whether and David's right. His specialty and where he's done the most copy is in email, but he's done a lot of websites, landing pages, other things. So my main outreach channel, whatever it is, let's say we're using email or ads, I want to create copy to get them to elicit a reaction, to take one step and one action. That's all. And then my landing page or my webinar or my VSL is booked out to do the next thing. And then that's maybe to get them onto a sales call. And then my sales guy knows what to do from there. But each step, too many
Exactly.
people try to accomplish the end goal of closing a deal, right? Which shouldn't
Yep.
happen until the closed deal stage of your process.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and exactly. I love how you just took it one step further. Is the landing page is not necessarily to get the sale either. The landing page is to get them on a call with your closer, and then
That's
the
how it is in
closers.
my funnels.
Yeah, and then the close. Yeah, it depends on the funnel, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the closer's job is to close the sale. So it's like each thing has its purpose. I'm gonna give a couple. I don't know what I don't know how strict you are about like ending on time or whatever, but I'll give
I have a little pull in the company. I could stay on longer if I want. No,
okay.
I have no bosses
Yeah.
here, so nobody makes the rules over me. But no, I'm not super strict. I don't have anything back to back in this hour, and I also don't want to put you on the spot. Please go into whatever. But one thing I
Yeah.
would love you to be able to share with us, whether you give it to me to share with the clients later, or you have it now. Not sure if you have any type of cool tool or framework or checklist or thing, kind of a tool you use that's kind of the foundation for how you write your copy or your emails. If you have anything like that that would benefit our clients, I'm sure they would love it. And again, whether you have it now, David, or you have to go find it,
Yeah.
you just send it to me later. I can share it with everybody. But I think that'd be a big value too if you have anything along those lines. I should have prepped you better before you came on for that.
No, that's good. This is terrible. I literally am the epitome of the cobbler like with terrible shoes. Like I should have like some sort of lead magnet or something that like I could share or give to people. But I will do this. I'll say this for anybody that's on this call, and I don't know how many people are on this call, but if you go to my website, Mug Branding, MUG branding.com, and you click on there, whatever, and just reach out to me. Um, I'll do
You
like
keep
a
talking. I'm just bringing it up on the screen so everybody can see it. I'm
yeah.
going to go drop the link in the chat. Keep going though, David.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yep, that's it right there. Um, I'm happy to do like a, I don't know, 20 or 30 minute just free kind of like if you've got like a web page or something you want me to look at, or if you've got like um an email campaign that you're wondering like just want some feedback on, like I'll do like a free, we'll say 30-minute, copy consult. If anybody wants that or if anybody's interested in that, I'm happy to jump on with them and just kind of do like a quick little so to say that hey, I was on the call with you with Ray, and let me know so that I know who you are. And
Yeah,
then
take them up on that. If any of you guys are writing email copy or writing out webinars or landing pages or websites and you want a real expert, that's probably a level ahead of me for sure in terms of copywriting and messaging. That's a very generous offer, David. I
yeah,
would take him up on that if I were you guys. And just for more context as we close out here, and I'll also extend it and give a little time for questions. But David, just so you're aware, most of the people on this call are selling some type of agency service combined with data as a service and
okay,
some of the data products that Audience Lab provides. So I think what I can say from a lot of my clients that are struggling to say, get sales calls booked and get leads, they're really struggling on writing that email that gets the initial click or the hand raised, right? So just any tips you may have about general agency services in that regard might also be helpful. Just again, I'm just kind of planting it in your brain. I'm not saying you're going to come up with something on the spot
Yeah.
necessarily, but if anything comes to mind that's helpful with that kind of objective, let them know.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if this is necessarily a copy, like a copywriting tip or whatever. But if you are an agency, because I mean, I kind of relate to you in a way. Like I mean, I'm sort of if that's who's on this call, like I'm basically in the same boat in the sense. Like I'm running a email marketing agency um this year. Uh, okay, yeah, and we should open up maybe for some Q&A. But
I'll let you round out here.
I just saw that question come through, and I can probably pull up my chat. But anyways, what I was saying is, what was I saying? Sorry, I got distracted. Um,
Same, we're basically in the same boat. I'm
oh
selling
yeah, I
similar,
was saying
you
we're
know.
in the same boat. So if you're trying to go out with cold, if you're trying to go out with cold prospecting and like cold, I don't know, if you're prospecting on LinkedIn and you're trying to do cold messaging, or you're even trying to do cold emails or anything like that. I don't know what the percentages of people in here that are trying to do cold outreach. Um,
I think it's pretty
my
high. I mean, they're pulling a list off our platform, but it's still cold to them. You know, those they might be people with intent or in market, but they don't know
Okay.
whoever's sending that email or that LinkedIn message. So in that aspect, yeah, it's still mostly cold outreach. I think a high percentage of people on this call are doing that.
Okay, so my one tip there, and I don't know, this maybe seems it to me it seems kind of obvious, but I don't know, maybe is you should if you're trying to go cold with people, you gotta figure out a way to basically nurture a relationship before you pitch. That's one thing that I see a lot of times that I think is a fatal mistake for a lot of people is I get an email or sorry, like let's just say a LinkedIn message or something from somebody or an email from somebody that says, "Hey David, I saw Mug Branding is helping people. Like we help with SEO. Like if you need help with SEO services, like give me a call." And I get that it maybe is a numbers game. I kind of understand the game. I mean, I understand that you just get to the point, put it out there, and you send out 10,000 emails, and 10 or 20 people might respond, and you might close one or two of those as some clients. But you could potentially have higher conversion rates if you actually took that same list of 10,000 people and you took a better approach. Like if you, and what I mean by that is, and I don't know if I can come up with exactly what you would say right off the top of my head now, but
I get that.
you would kind of you would want to understand where this list came from. And again, this maybe goes back to something that we talked about a little bit earlier, and is where you want to put yourself in their head, like literally put yourself in their shoes and think to yourself, if I were to open a cold message, like I'll just say for me, like if I was a business owner and you know, was I wanted whatever, like somebody was emailing me about email marketing services or something. Like what would I want them to just say, "Hey David, we can write your email marketing services and we can do this." Or would I want like what would I want them to say to me? Like what would catch my attention? Like what would make me think, "Oh, that's interesting. I should write back to this guy." Or what would make me think like I've never seen somebody say that before? Or what would make me think like, "Oh, this person, guy, girl, whatever. This person is different." I like you have to kind of I think people skip this step. They just fundamentally just think, "Oh, I have a cold list. Okay, ChatGPT write me this thing," and ChatGPT says, "Hey, I'm David. I was the top copywriter on Fiverr, and I was Russell Brunson's copywriter. We can help you with your email campaigns, you know." And I don't know, like just my thought is don't do that. Like think
What
about
what I
it.
would
Like
what I would say there also, and I say this to clients sometimes too, what I do when I write messaging or copy, especially like messaging where I'm sending a cold email or a cold DM, I proofread it and I don't just say, oh, Ray, that's good, click send. I think if I got this one, if I was on the receiving end of this, would I actually reply? And would my reply be what I'm hoping to get for a reply? Right. So sometimes it's
Yeah.
just that simple step of sit back. You can proofread it, but really ask yourself and put yourself in that role. If I receive this DM from some cold stranger, number one, would I even reply? Number two, would I reply with the type of reply that I'm hoping to get when I send this to people? If your answer is no to either of those, don't send it. Stop and rewrite until you can answer those with, yes, I would reply, or yes, I would reply with the positive, next step that I'm hoping to get back. I think a lot of people just skip that step, very honestly.
Yeah. And I would also add on to that is like just see how you can think through how you can maybe add value, especially from a cold like a cold outreach. You got to really think how you can add value a little bit in some way. And like because these people don't know you at all. They get hit up with 500 spam emails a day, and
Definitely.
you have to just think like you just have to think, like how can I give a little bit of value here to stand out from the crowd? Because most people are going to just send the stupid email that says, "Hey, I'm an email marketing agency. If you need help with your emails, talk to me." But if you send an email that says something along the lines of like, I don't know, "Hey, I saw that I saw that you sell candles, and I I'd like to like write a couple emails for you if you're okay with that to show you." I don't know. I'm spitballing
I
here
know
and saying
exactly what you're saying. Try to
but it's
offer
like,
value, and that's almost like similar to what I call like the curious student approach. Like, hey,
yeah,
I have this expertise. You sell these. Can I write you a couple emails and see if they work for you? Can you test
yeah,
out my expertise? Absolutely no expectation of return, right? Just
yeah,
something like that where
yeah,
there's no heavy call to action. They don't feel forced like they're going to buy something, but they're like, oh, I might actually get something out of this, right from the start. So,
yeah.
um,
Oh, and
just to
yeah,
be cautious of time here, I
yeah.
do want to open it up for Q&A. I see there's still about a dozen people on. So if anybody has a question and wants to just speak out loud and ask, type up one in the chat and I will call on you. And while I'm looking for that, or you guys are typing it in, if you guys have questions again, why don't you go ahead and hit David, why don't you go ahead and hit JP's question if you have an answer to what are the top one or two industry trends you've seen in the last year or so in terms of copywriting?
The trends that sorry, I was reading the comments for a second, so I might have got a little distracted. Um,
Oh, very, very simply, what are the top one or two industry trends you've seen in the last year or so?
oh, I've seen that I have seen that I think the money okay, couple things. The money is challenges are big right now. Challenges are big. So if you're, I don't know if you've noticed, but Russell is doing like challenges. A lot of the clients and a lot of people in the inner circle and Russell's inner circle are doing challenges. They're moving away from webinars, which webinars are still good. I think webinars can still be really good, but they're moving towards like these 5-day challenges, these 3-day challenges. Russell did selling online, which was like a 3 all-day challenge. Like he crushed with that. But I think even that had its life cycle, and people right now are doing these like 5-day, like 90-minute challenges. That's working really well right now. So if you're, I don't know what situation you're in, but if you're in something like that to promote lead gen, um,
Oh, I agree.
the other thing that I'm seeing is you have to be able to, and this is where maybe I'm a little biased too, but like email marketing is really, really, really key, and it becoming more and more important is because ad costs, and everything are going up. Social media, you're getting more like limited and more limited reach with your social media because it's becoming more pay to play, and then they're they're just like jacking the ad costs up everywhere. And so it's becoming more and more important to elevate people on the back end. I know Russell teaches this really a lot, and he has always taught it, but even Russell, to an extent, has always, even though like he does a great job of elevating people on the back end, but a lot of people have been running their businesses basically on cold traffic or on paid media, and they have just like I sell a t-shirt. I run an ad, I sell a t-shirt, and I make $5. After ad spend, after inventory costs, I make $5. And they were like, cool, I made $5. I just scale my ads and I sell a million t-shirts and I'm a millionaire. Boom. Awesome. Well, the problem lately, the trend that's happening lately is that model just isn't working anymore. Like it's costing you $19.98 to sell a $20 t-shirt. So you can't scale 2 cents. So you have to start thinking on the back end and you have to start elevating people on the back end. So then you can say, okay, well, if I sell a t-shirt, but then I upsell them to like, hey, you bought this t-shirt. What if you want these shorts to go with it? And hey, you bought this outfit. Maybe do you want to be on our monthly list, our monthly like thing where we send you a new t-shirt every month or something, and you can cancel anytime. And then you can get your average, your LTV, your lifetime value of each client up from like $20 up to like $30. Okay, all of a sudden you're profitable again. But this is the game that we're in now is you fundamentally, I think, and a lot of people are struggling with this, and even beginners are wondering like, how is everybody making money? Because I'm trying to sell this t-shirt and or whatever, like I'm trying to sell, let's just say in this thing, like with Audience Lab, like I'm trying to sell my people these email lists and stuff, and I'm charging, whatever, $500, and and it's costing me $500 of ad spend or something to find leads or whatever. How is everybody else doing this? Well, it's because they know that I can spend $500 and get this one client that buys my list. These are not the right numbers, I know, but like buy my list for $500, and yes, that's a loss leader, or that's a break even funnel, or it's a self liquidating offer. But I know on the back end that I'm going to sign this client up for like a monthly retainer where I help them do this XYZ for $250 a month or something. And I also have this one package where I know like 2 out of every 10 people are going to sign up for this $10,000 thing where I actually build out a funnel for them to do this or that or something. And then all of a sudden, instead of my LTV goes from 500 to 1,000, okay, then all of a sudden I can spend $500 on cold traffic and sell my first, package for $500. But yeah, so it's kind of this idea that I don't know if I think a lot of people understand this, but I think there's still a lot of people out there that are trying to play this like one and done like front end game, and they're like the people that know are like, dude, that died, that was over like 2020, like that was donezo, and we're not like even remotely there anymore. Like if you're just gonna try and run a business by Facebook ads and sell a product and then you're done, like just might as well just write Zuckerberg a check for $100,000 and just go live your life. Like, anyways.
We're running short here on time, though. Let's dive in. And do you have any answer to this last question? I don't know if there's a good ballpark. I don't know how I would answer this one if somebody asked me. So I'm going to put it on you because you're the expert here. But what's the ideal length of an email sequence? Meaning, how many emails should be in the sequence to sell, let's say, intent data in this case?
Um, I'm thinking. Um, Usually I default to flat max 5 for any product. I don't know if there's a cut and dry offer for that or answer for this. It depends on how close you are it depends on the expectations you set with your clients. I have I subscribe to a couple people, like maybe you guys know about them, like Ben, is it Ben's? I could probably look at their emails here. Um, Daniel Throssell. Do you guys know Daniel Throssell? Or like Ben Settle? These guys write emails. If you go subscribe to these guys, they write emails every single day, sometimes multiple
Yeah,
times.
actually, I know I have one like that I'm subscribed to where I get a
Ye-
daily one.
Yeah. And when I write Russell's cart close sequences, uh, I know that's maybe not selling for intent, but like a cart close sequence, you'll send out like 10 or 15 emails. When you're trying to get somebody, like I worked with Anthony Morrison. I don't know if people know Anthony Morrison, but did Webinar Fuel. He runs Webinar Fuel, and he's a big ecom guy. He's kind of in Russell's orbit a little bit, but
I first found him in the e-com space about 6, 7 years ago. I know. Yeah.
yeah, and he does Webinar Fuel, and he runs evergreen webinars. And dude, that fool will send out like 50 emails to get people to show up for a webinar. And
I've heard that.
his philosophy is like, you signed up and told me you wanted to come, so I'm just gonna make sure you come. Either unsubscribe or come. Like it's gonna be one or the other. And so the ideal length for an email campaign, if you're trying to, it kind of depends. There's so many variables to it, but I would honestly default to the more the better, because these people know you. They understand, they have signed up and said that they want what you want. And I kind of hold this philosophy. I would call it the Anthony Morrison philosophy. They've said that they want what you want. And they've said that they wanted to be where you are, or like they've said they want help. They raised their hand at some point and said, I want to hear from you. And my impression or my thought is, don't worry about the unsubscribes and don't worry about that stuff. Really. I mean, because if they're going to unsubscribe, let them unsubscribe. They're not going to buy anyways. So just hit them up, make sure they know what you want them to know. And if that takes 5 emails, do it. If it takes 10 emails and 10 text messages, do that. So I uh I don't know if I'm saying your name right, Kasoon. Is it Kasoon?
That's
But
correct. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's no, this is maybe also going back to the very beginning of the conversation where we were saying like, um, I kind of said just be simple, be yourself, you know, don't overthink it too much. Like I get that people want a silver bullet of like do this and do that, but it's the silver bullet really is just do what you think is right and do what you would want to be. Like if I was on the other end of this and like depending on your situation or your client or whatever, like am I gonna just be totally mad if I get 10 emails? I don't know. If you think that, then just say you can even
Highly
address it
unlikely,
to,
though, generally speaking, highly unlikely people that are going to get that mad because they can just opt out or whatever. Number one, right?
yeah,
I would agree with what David said on a general rule of thumb. Of course, there's always going to be outliers to anything one of us says. There's going to be, you know what I mean? But general rule of thumb, I would say more rather than less. And my quick answer to that, Kazoon, is how many emails does it take before you get a response? That's how many I want in my email sequence. I don't know how many that is, but however many it takes to get a response. It could be a response, could work 2 emails, I get a response from 8% of the people I sent them. But I realize when I send 7 emails, I get a response from 18% of people instead of 2%, right? So, once you start to realize however many emails are starting to get responses and then you start ramping out more, if you keep ramping out more and you keep rising the percentage of responses you're getting, you want to figure, again, go all the way to the end is basically what I would say. Hopefully that makes sense, but there's no single number either David or I could say your email sequence should be 5, should be 4. There's no right answer there. They're
yeah,
always going to be circumstantial and situational, dependent on so many factors. So, however many it takes to get replies, and then if I keep blasting people on this list with more emails, am I getting more replies? Good. I want my sequence longer. Then, I
yeah.
mean, there's really no other way to put it in my mind.
I like what you just said, this like this testing, like, and that's actually a really good point, is just test. Like test and see what happens when you send out 100 email, like whatever, maybe not 100, but like what
You
happens
get the
when you
point.
send out 20 emails? Try it. Like just try it and see what happens. Like watch your stats. Like do my open rates, like where do my open rates like really drop off a cliff? Okay, they start dropping off a cliff at like 10 emails. Okay, well then maybe 10 is where you stop. Or but you would never know that until you actually just try it. So yeah, like Ray was saying, like try 10 emails, try 5 emails, try 10 emails, try 10 emails, 10 text messages, and and call them 5 voicemail drops. I mean, like, well, I don't know. You'll never know until you try it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And
that's
what David was just saying there, when you're testing, like he said, how many emails before your open rates really drop off? Or how many emails before you start to see a ton of unsubscribes and opt out of the sequence, right? That's where you kind of know where the cutoff. And we don't know until we test. All it is at best a guesstimate, right? You know what I mean? We can all throw out a number, but it's going to be different in every funnel and every campaign. So you need to test what your client base will, number one, tolerate, and number two, when do they actually kind of opt into the call to action, or just say, hey, this is too much, David, I'm unsubscribing. And that's kind of how I'm going to build out how many are in my sequence. But again, there's no single answer we can give you that's always going to be right in this case, ever. But
yeah.
guys, for today, I'm sorry, I do have a 3:30 Eastern. I did leave a half-hour buffer here, but I got to go get a couple minutes of prep before my call in 6 or 7 minutes. So guys, again, I put David's link in this chat a couple times. Feel free to take him up on the one-on-one consultation when he can look at your specific messaging, your specific landing page, and could probably give you a lot better direct insight than we can do in a general overview in a workshop like this when we're all saying, hey, generally speaking, or if you're selling this type of product, we can give you a general outline, but he can get really dialed into your copy and much more specific. So that's very generous. Thank you for that opportunity and that offer. And guys, when I drop this replay in the community later today or tomorrow, I will include David's link under the description or down in the comments of where I post that video as well, for people that might watch the replay or might not have got it initially. So, David, any last closing words before I gotta dip out of here?
No, I'll let you bounce. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining and having me. I appreciate being able to kind of integrate into your community, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm also going to send you, David, an invite into our school community so you can continue to interact with some of these people, or they could DM you in our community. So I'll give you the link. Feel free to hop in. There's, absolutely free, but it's everyone else in there pretty much is paid community, but I let a few of our experts in there for free to, interact and stuff like that. So I'll shoot you over the link later today when I get a minute.
That sounds great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Look forward to kind of interacting with everybody more. And thanks everybody for uh, being here.
Yeah, thank you guys, especially you guys that hung on. We're going an hour and 20 minutes now. People like Kasoon, Connie, you know, Heidi, JP, thank you for the positive replies, the questions, the engagement, and your attention span. And, as I always say, out of everything David dropped today, and myself, maybe 10%, David, about 90%, but what's the one thing you could take away that you're going to go embed into your next campaign, or go alter, or just even have cognizant in your mind the next time you write an email? It might just be that simple little thing of, shoot, I need to proofread it and ask myself, would I respond right? But think of one takeaway that you can go implement, and at least start with that. There's probably more than one implementable takeaway from today's conversation, but we always want to start with one and go actually try it, rather than me and David just sit here and give you ideas and thoughts and strategies, and then nobody ever goes and does it. It's kind of like we talked for nothing for the last hour and 20 minutes. So take something away, implement it, get results, and we always love to hear the results you get. Thanks everybody for your time today. David, I appreciate you carving out the time for us.